We have Philipe Lins versus Ion Cutelaba. This is going to be a light heavyweight fight, so some big boys coming through. Um, this fight here, I mean, Felipe Lin, 17-5, 3-2 in his last five. He's actually a heavyweight, if I'm not mistaken, that moved down to light heavyweight. He's gone on a kind of 3-fight win streak, so good move for him. And he did it at the good age of 38, so he's 38 years old. Slightly older, kind of veteran kind of guy, but he's I guess he's found his right weight class here. Um, He's going up against Ion Cutelaba, 17-9 and 1. He's coming off of that victory. He's 2-3 in his last five, 29 years old. Um, Felipe is going to be the bigger guy here, though. I mean, he has a 1 inch height advantage, 3 inch reach advantage, and it kind of makes sense because he's the one dropping down from heavyweight to light heavyweight. Um, Odds, I mean, it's going to be pretty close. Right now, Ion Cutelaba is minus 152. He actually opened up as a dog at plus 130. So that's something to keep in mind there that he was a dog and then now
Yeah.
he's bet to a favorite. So people are buying it in on the Ion Cutelaba side, supposedly. But breaking down this fight here, I mean, Felipe Lins, decent jack of all trades kind of guy. I think he could do a little bit of everything. I think he's pretty big as far as just his frame. And it makes sense because I mean he's dropped down from heavyweight, so he's big and strong. I don't think he's even been taken down in the UFC yet. He has like 100% takedown defense. Um, Coming off three straight dubs. I mean, level competition hasn't been the greatest in terms of his dubs. I mean, if you just look at the guys that he's fighting, Marsham Grisham, Olim St. Preux, um, Marcin Prashino. Three of those guys, I don't think they're that UFC caliber. I think that OSP is like out of the UFC at this point, and I think Grisham might be out too. So not the greatest level of competition there. And before that, he actually got knocked out by Tanner Boser, who Ion Cutelaba actually knocked out in his last fight. So some interesting dynamic there. Um, Striking wise, I mean, their their stats are pretty similar. Like, there's not really too big a gap either way. I think Ion is Kutalaba is more of a volume kind of person, and I think his grappling game is pretty good too. I mean, he's one of those guys that has good power, good wrestling background. He looks great when he gets those takedowns and get top control. He looks like a contender, looks like a ranked fighter. But man, this guy fights like a negative IQ ogre sometimes. I mean, I think he's one of those guys that's like all hammer, no nail, 6-8-1 in the UFC, but all of those losses, in my opinion, are to legit ranked fighters or contenders. So he hasn't lost to like bad people at all. Um, I just don't know if I could trust Kutalaba with my money because I just feel like he is a little chinny, and Felipe Lins, if anything, he does have some solid power. I think if he could sit down on those shots and wait for Cutelaba to come to him, Cutelaba might just be walking into a KO. Um, but I think Cutelaba is the more talented fighter here. I think he should be the quicker fighter here, and obviously he's the younger fighter here. Um, and just from what I see, I think that Cutelaba, I mean, this is probably going to be the worst opponent that he's fought. I mean, just look at some of the guys that he's fought. He's fought like Kennedy, he's fought Johnny Walker, Ryan Spann, Dustin Jacoby, Magomed and Ankalaev. These are some pretty legit dudes. So I would say my pick is Cutelaba, but that is a damn risky bet, I think. So I'll probably stay away from it. I could totally see why people would even play Lins, but I'm going Cutelaba here just because I think that he'll be able to be that hammer in this fight more often than not. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets KO'd. So no money here for me. Alex, what are your thoughts on this fight here?
Yeah, so when I compare the two fighters, I like that Kutalaba is definitely a lot more twitchy and quick on his feet. He is 29, so 9 years younger than Lins, who's 38. Um, I do agree that it's not the best look that he's been finished in 3 of his last 5 fights. Um, and because of that, against an opponent like Lins, who has definitely he has clear power. He can definitely get knocked out for sure. Um, but I just like the way Kutalaba fights, a lot more. Like he just looks like more fresh, and seems like like he's definitely going to be the one to put the pressure on Lins. So I think it's all just about him not getting caught. But that is a big ask. And looking at Lins, I didn't really like his last fight. Although he won, he did a lot of what he did was he'll like punch, 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 and then he'll like immediately go into the clinch. Um, so him wanting to go into the clinch, it'll play a big role because Kutalaba also is also known for his wrestling. But again, just if you compare the two fighters, the stand-up game, Kutalaba, in my eyes, looks a lot better. So Kutalaba's a pick for me. Um, but not the most confident again.
Yeah. Kevin, what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I feel like this might be one of the traps, or it was intended to be one of the traps. Uh, on paper, obviously, Felipe looks a little bit better because, Kudalaba like gets knocked out for a living. But yeah, he does have the better striking, in my opinion. Um, and he does have a 10-year age difference. And yeah, I agree with what you said. This could be probably one of his easiest matchups so far. And this is also probably the youngest fighter that they've given to Felipe. Like so far, if you look at the fighters that he's fought against, I mean, Andre Arlovsky's 44, Oven St. Preux's 40, you know, um, and then Maxim Grishin was also like 39. So yeah, I mean, it just seems like, yeah, like this dude's only fought grandpas, and it doesn't really mean much, when you're beating dudes that are like 40 at the end of their career. I mean, it means you could like kind of beat veterans, I guess, but I wouldn't really even count them as veterans when they're like approaching like retirement. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go Eon here. Yeah, I kind of like Eon here.
For sure.
Yeah.
You think you'll how confident do you feel in him? Do you think he's like a potential like money piece, or he kind of just a
I
pick?
don't really think this is that. I'm not that confident in this because I feel like Felipe Lins still is like a pretty high IQ fighter to some
Mhm.
extent.
Yeah.
I feel like he's smart enough to. I mean, he got knocked out in the first round before. Uh, yeah, actually, he's gotten knocked out in the first round a couple times before. But yeah, I don't know if he probably is aware of Eon's game plan. Um, I'm not sure if that's enough to stop it though. So I mean, he is a jujitsu black belt as well, and he's also going to be the stronger guy. So I can kind of see Eon either getting a knockout or this guy like somehow getting a submission.
Mm.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't see. I don't. It's not really a parlay piece for me, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.